Hello again. I say again because I am re recording my August wrap up. Because the first time I recorded this, I got interrupted so many times by a certain screaming someone. Because I got interrupted, I lost my train of thought so badly that I just was like, this is almost incoherent. Like I would like end in the middle of a sentence and then not pick it up and never finish a thought. So I was like, okay, I have to just redo this. Luckily, I didn't read very many books in August. I honestly don't remember how many. I think it was, let's see. Uh, oh, okay, it was more than I thought. It was 18, 6,414 pages, no audiobooks listened to, or at least none completed. Basically, what happened is the bean, Hugh, decided that he needed something and just yelled the entire time. You can hear him like through the entire video. So first, we needed some fluffing. Hi, sweet boy. You good boy. Oh, not the butthole. And then we needed a pillow fort. I'm going to show you this pillow fort. This is a bean. My goodness, you're so tucked in there. And then he needed some playtime with Dad. Oh my goodness. And then Cecil came and he settled immediately. Cecil, look at this sweet boy. And we have a bean up there. Oh my goodness. Look at this sweet man. Oh my gosh. You make him biscuits. Yeah. And then Bert got up on top of, we have like a pantry because like we don't have like a standalone pantry that's like a piece of furniture because we don't have one in our house. And so he got up on top of that because he can get to it from the counter. And he started yelling at me. Look at him. My goodness. What are you? Yeah. What are you doing? You just up there surveying your kingdom? What are you doing? And then they all finally at the very tail end of the video, settled down on the couch for a nap, like all three of them. It was very cute. Oh my goodness. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. We have everybody here today. Everybody's here today. Look at this boy. Let me get these napping cats while we're all settled. Yeah, that should be it. That should be the cover. The books were not clearly a priority in that video. So, yeah, here we are, redoing some of that. Anyway, this is going to be a little bit out of order, but since it's on top right in front of me, I am going to go ahead and talk about 6 of the books that I read because it was the box set of the Heaven Official's Blessing manhwa. This, I pre-ordered this back in like December, and it comes and there's like art on the inside. There's 6 volumes of this, and because I pre-ordered it, I did also get a bunch of goodies. I did put a couple of them away, but I'll show you some. So there's like a a film strip of like a kind of important scene from the story. None of it's in any of these volumes though, so I don't think. I think it comes later on in the story. But we have that. And then we have a couple smaller art cards, like postcard size. And they have this kind of like textury sheen to them. This one is Sanlang, and this is no, yeah. And this is Shaylan. And they are both so pretty. I had a frame that I wanted to put them in, but they're just a little bit too big for the frame. So I just kind of have them loose right now on the shelf, which is fine. And then there is this like little art print. And then there's this one. And then the last thing that I have that's out is a little acrylic standee, and it's kind of iridescent. You can sort of tell. Yeah, you can tell when I do it that way. This is one of my favorite series, one of my favorite couples, and the art is beautiful. It probably follows through the majority of season 1 of the show. I do think they are still creating more volumes. I just don't know that there is like a specific time frame for when they're being completed. It is like the same art from the show. It's just, in book form instead of animated. I really hope they come out with more volumes at some point so they actually complete the story that's in the light novels. I think this covers probably it covers the first volume. I don't know if it goes all the way through the second volume of the light novels. So it might just cover the first 2 out of the 8. We'll see when and if we get the rest. I certainly hope so because it's beautiful art. I don't know if I would rather have volumes of the manhwa or if I would rather have the show. But since it's the same art, I wonder if they're kind of going a little bit hand in hand. So we are actually going to go back to this was, like the 4th thing I read in the month. So that's not too out of order. But we are going to go back to the beginning of the month with Son of Blood and Ruin. So I picked this up because I got the sequel as an arc without reading the first one. And I actually ended up DNFing this. And of course, obviously the sequel, I was like, oh my God, I've done a terrible thing. Because I had to be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read this book. To be very fair to this book, I did pick this up in the waiting room at a doctor's office while I was waiting for an appointment. And I got like 70 or 80 pages into it. So there wasn't a lot that had happened in the like 70 to 80 pages. And this book is like 360 pages, maybe. I don't know. I was like, there's not really a whole lot going on. I don't really feel connected to the character. This came in the adult fairy loot box, and the main character is like 18, and the overall tone of the writing felt way more YA leaning, or even like potentially new adult. It felt odd for something that was supposed to be an adult book, and also like to be fair, I was very distracted because I was, like I said, I was in the doctor's office, and I had to put it down because I got called for my appointment. And like after I got home, I just never really felt compelled to pick it up. So it was maybe more of a softer DNF, but if the premise sounds interesting to you, certainly give it a shot. Just go in knowing that it feels a little more YA than adult, even though it is categorized as adult. Kind of along the same lines, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this one. I picked up The Sun and the Void. I think the sequel was announced, like the pre-order for the sequel was announced. So I wanted to read this before I like purchased the sequel. I was enjoying this at first. So like as we're getting to know the characters, you can tell that you can tell that one of the main characters is getting. So like, what? Are you gonna interrupt me today too? Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. You got it, buddy. Anyway, so even from the very beginning of the book, you can tell that at least one of the main characters is getting manipulated. The other one is more being controlled by external circumstances, and like she understands, like she is frustrated by her circumstances, and like I think she's getting forced into a marriage, and she's like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know that I really have a choice. I think it's Raina. She doesn't realize that she's being manipulated and used. And you're like, I'm sure that's like the whole point is that like you as the reader is supposed to be sitting there like really uncomfortable and like frustrated for her because you can see that she's being used, but it just, I don't know. I didn't love it. I thought the magic system was a little odd. Unfortunately, this one was a miss for me as well. I think I would give something else by these authors a chance because I do think both of these might have been debuts by these authors. Hi, Cecil. Hi. Oh my goodness. You're okay, buddy. Ignore my PJ pants. You're not going to come snuggle? Well, this is still fewer interruptions than last time, so I'll take it. Oh, I forgot to grab one. It's up there. Oh my god. I can't believe I forgot to do that. Since I got up to grab this and it's in my hand, we'll just go ahead and talk about the world of Master of Crows. This matches I think it's Arcane Society. This matches the set that they did of Entreat Me and Master of Crows. And this is a story, like a collection of short stories. It connects a lot of her books together. So it connects Master of Crows to Entreat Me and then Master of Crows to Wraith Kings, which is Radiance and Eidolon. I picked this up as soon as it arrived in the mail and have zero regrets. Basically, all I can hope for is more from Grace Draven. She is a delight every single time. I feel like she has a similar vibe to T. Kingfisher, like her romance, like T. Kingfisher's romances. I do have a couple more physical editions, but I'm going to get some of the earlier ebooks out of the way. So I did get an arc of Wild Reverence, and this basically got me out of a reading slump. I read a book and DNF'd a book in July, so was having a really rough time with reading. This basically got me out of that and kind of like kickstarted me wanting to read again. So this is a prequel novel to the Letters of Enchantment series, so Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. At the time, I had not read Divine Rivals. I have since picked up the series and finished it. I will say it is a very different vibe because it feels way more like a fairy tale than a war story or secret letters or anything like that. I mean, there are letters and like that did continue in this. So it has a very different feel to it. It's very dreamy, it's very ethereal. It's definitely very fairy tale feeling. I liked the romance in it, but I also really there's like a father figure in here that I really liked the relationship that she had with him. I didn't end up getting the Fairy Loot edition of it because I thought other editions looked like were super pretty. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go pick up a copy of it because I don't know. It just like I still think about it and it's October and I read this like at the beginning of August. So I don't know. It's probably my favorite of all of the Rebecca Ross books that I've read. And I will say that a thing that she does really well is her atmospheres, and this one's no different. The next ebook I got is Love Life Farms. I got that one from the library. I wanted to pick up something by B.K. Borson before I went and ordered the like Good Spirits box from Illumicrate, but then tariffs and all that added like $36 to shipping, and I was like, nope. And it takes place at a struggling Christmas tree farm, and the woman who owns it has entered like an influencers contest to get like featured on their page, has lied on her application and said that she and her boyfriend run the farm. She has to come up with a fake boyfriend, so she asks her male best friend, who she's had the hots for for a while and discovers that it's mutual. Chaos ensues, and it was really cute. I don't know that it is something that has necessarily stuck with me the way some other romances do, but it was a good time. And I have since picked up the sequel from the library. I'm waiting on holds for the last two in the series. The next book I picked up was Shield of Sparrows. This is by Devney Perry. So in this world, there are several kingdoms, and every 30, 40 years, there are monsters that come out of the sky that are sent by the god to remind humans that the gods are all powerful and humans are inferior. And in order to survive the monsters, you essentially have to have some sort of bunker, and you have to be able to provision that for like 3 months because that's how long these attacks last. And they kill people, they destroy livestock, they destroy buildings. So there is this princess from one kingdom, and she's the youngest daughter, and she is set to marry one of her father's knights or his commander. Her sister is set to go off and marry the prince of a neighboring kingdom, who are fairly secretive about where their capital city is because that one was attacked. Yeah, a while ago and basically destroyed. And so they rebuilt the city elsewhere. And so a delegation comes from that kingdom. And when this delegation arrives, the prince decides that he wants to marry the younger daughter of the older daughter who has been trained to go live there and like infiltrate and like basically be a spy for her kingdom. She's like, I don't want to do this. And so she's kind of like thrust into this political marriage. And there he is. Hi. You finally said I'm sweet boy. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a good boy. That's a good noodle. Yeah. She's kind of like, I don't really want to go do this, but also I am so stifled living in this kingdom. Like, she's forced to wear really drab clothes, really baggy clothes, and like not for any sort of, I don't know that it's any like specifically like sexual reason or like modesty reason, but it's like it's very much a don't draw attention to yourself and embarrass us kind of thing. Like she likes to like go outside and go swimming and do all these things that she's not supposed to do like as a princess. So she's like, all right, well, I guess I'll go do this. I don't really want to, but I guess I will. On top of these monsters that are sent by the gods, there are other monsters that like exist in this world. She of course is instructed by her father, the king, to go spy on the prince and like see if she can figure out all of this kingdom's secrets. And she's like, I haven't been trained to do this. Like, why in the world would I do this? I think the prince's bodyguard is very suspicious of her and like kind of knows she's a spy, like expects her to be a spy. And he's like, you're a spy, aren't you? And she's like, who, me? No, of course not. And he's like, yeah, right, okay. So she gets kind of stuck with him because he's like, oh, I'll just keep an eye on her. And they slowly start getting closer. And along the way, you learn a lot more about the political environment of his kingdom. And then you learn a lot more about the monsters and some of their origins and information about different characters that you meet along the way. It was one of the first books that I kind of just sat down and like binge read in a long time. I did have a couple moments where I was kind of frustrated with how he was treating her because, and a little bit with her because, like, at no point did she say to him, like, I've never been here. I have no idea what's going on. I've never had to do these things. Just for him to like have even some sort of understanding or empathy, maybe a little less antagonistic towards her at the beginning. And they do grow. Their relationship changes. I don't necessarily know that that was ever stated out loud where he was like where he apologized for being kind of annoying at the beginning. I'm going to talk about a couple more KU books that I picked up. Like, you know, those videos on TikTok where it's like friends doing presentations about certain things, like PowerPoint presentations, and it's just really goofy. Well, I saw one of those videos and it was this girl who was like doing like a hear me out PowerPoint presentation, but it was all monsters met monsters, and one of them was from the second book in this series, and he's a Mothman and has a like a 12-foot tongue. You know, do with that information as you will. I was like, what's this book from? Or like, what's this book? And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's the sequel to Morning Glory Milking Farm. I guess I'll pick that one up and do this in order. And so I did. I read Morning Glory Milking Farm, and it is exactly what you sign up for at the beginning. It is smut, so like don't go in expecting anything different. The next one is called Sweet Berries and is a Mothman. For Morning Glory Milking Farm is a Minotaur. And then the third one is that I don't have on here. I don't remember what it was called, but it's werewolves. So he is a werewolf. She's a human. It's set in the same like town where like monsters and humans commingle. Those were the two that well, three technically that I picked up that were just straight smut. Something that I discovered about myself in August was that I think I am the kind of reader who hates it more when I read something that could be really good, really phenomenal, and isn't, than something that is just outright bad. Like, I think it's more frustrating to me when that happens. I will. Hi. Oh my gosh, this is a boy. He just a baby. Just a baby. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Hi. Oh, sweet boy. Just the sweetest boy. Just the sweetest boy. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Just a cuteness interruption. Hi. Don't bite me. What was that for? What was that for? Yeah. What was that for? Hmm. And the reason I discovered this is because I picked up the Curse of Saints series by Kate Dramis. I was having a really good time, and there were a couple things that I noticed that I kind of just couldn't unnotice. Some of the things that happened along the way, like through the series, kind of frustrated me, but I'll talk about that in a second. Curse of Saints follows Will and Aya. Will is the Queen's enforcer, and then Aya is the Queen's spymaster. They're part of like her inner circle, and the third person in the inner circle is Aya's best friend, who is the general of all of the Queen's military. There, people have magic powers, and it's usually like you generally only have one power. Aya has the power of persuasion, and then very publicly discovers that she has another gift that has manifested, is sent off to another kingdom to their library in order to figure out what's going on. She and Will go, and despite being part of the Queen's inner circle, they have some history that makes them really antagonistic towards each other. And so they're sent on this mission to this other kingdom, discover a lot on the way and like get closer and kind of resolve some of the things. You know, this is a fantasy romance, so like you're gonna get some romance. I actually think Will and Aya's relationship is the strongest out of any of the character relationships, which is good because that's the romantic relationship that you're getting. That is super well developed. How they go from being essentially enemies to lovers by the end of the series. I do think some of this suffered a little bit because it was like insta friendship. I don't know. It was like they became best friends really quickly. It's one of the things that I noticed, and I think it would have been more realistic and better character development if it had not been so quick. This was a debut series. I do think that is something that would probably grow in her writing over time. So I would definitely pick up more from this author. In these later books, you still have at least a little bit of the like insta friendship type relationships. Not as much because they're already pretty well established as friends. The other thing that bothered me later in the series, not necessarily in the first book, but in the second and third especially, was that there were several moments that would have been more emotionally impactful if we had sat with the character a little bit longer in their feelings. Hi. In particular, in the third book, there were several things that happened to some of the side characters where I was either like, this felt unnecessary, or it should have been done differently to have more of an emotional impact. I do think if you liked the Grisha trilogy, then you would like this one as well, because it's a young woman who figures out that she has powers that she probably shouldn't really have. And I personally like this one way better than the Grisha trilogy, but the world feels a little bit more intricate in this one. And there are also kind of similarly religious overtones to the story. The final book that I have to talk about for August is The Witch's Pet. I picked this one up on recommendation from Janessa from Mimo Reads, and he says so. Oh my goodness, he's just a sweet boy. Yeah. So this follows a witch prince and not a magical human woman. So she is from this really isolated kingdom who is very anti-magic. They have this almost puritanical religious order that she has been living under. Her father is either the king or some sort of high-ranking noble. So she's a twin. Her sister has been selected to go marry this witch prince, but she already has someone that she's in a relationship with, like a secret relationship. So she swaps herself with her sister and goes with her father to marry this witch prince, and they marry, and she goes off, lives in his tower. There's a lot more politically at play from his side of the marriage. I did generally like the way that their relationship progressed. There were a couple moments where it just didn't seem like he was like truly understanding her when she was saying like, I cannot be trapped in this tower. That was a little frustrating, but overall I had a decent time. I don't know that it was my favorite thing that I read in August. I will probably be picking up the sequel as long as I am still interested by the time it comes out. I have some questions about the relationship and kind of where the world is going, where the plot is going. I'm a little bit holding off judgment until I get some of those questions answered. I now have a Cecil man instead of a noodle, instead of a Bert. So here is this sweet boy. Yeah. Yeah. Are we just a perfect boy? Yes. Anyway, I will see you guys for my September wrap up, which hopefully I don't have to refilm. I don't think I was interrupted in that one as much. I hope you appreciated the cat shenanigans. Anyway, I will see y'all next time. Bye.